Of President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address. What are you hoping he will prioritize in his SONA tomorrow? Would love to hear from you. Send us your comments to #FullView. You could also view any of our interviews and features. Simply go to sabcnews.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter as well. Good evening. So indeed, all eyes are on President Cyril Ramaphosa as he delivers the State of the Nation address tomorrow. The SACP says President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address must inspire hope through compelling state-led policies, programs and interventions. So the SACP says this must include a continuation of the COVID-19 social relief of a distress grant, which it says will go a long way in mitigating the impact of the pandemic. So that's just one of the issues that the Communist Party would like to hear from the President. For more, the SACP spokesperson, Mashilo, joins me now. Mr. Mashilo, good evening to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So in addition to that, a transformation of the mining industry and agricultural expansion is one of the things that you want the President to address tomorrow, I understand.
Definitely. We are in a crisis because of the COVID-19 pandemic. In other words, we are in a pandemic crisis. But before the arrival of the pandemic on our shores, we were already in an economic crisis, indicated by the high rates of unemployment, poverty and unemployment. What the COVID-19 pandemic has done is that it has exacerbated or worsened the pre-existing crisis. So we have two crises, if you may, to deal with. So we need measures to overcome or to stop the COVID-19 pandemic on the one hand. On the other hand, we need measures to revive the economy and get it going, to lift the unemployed out of unemployment into employment so that we can support livelihoods. That is the context in which we think that the development of the mining value chain, the development of the agricultural value chain to advance manufacturing can create employment so that we reduce the number of unemployed people. We are almost, in fact, we are over 11 million unemployed people at the moment.
Mr. Mashilo, how would you want the President to navigate through a possibility of South Africa even reaching or having a third and even fourth wave when it comes to the issue of COVID-19? We're still in the process towards this vaccination of first healthcare workers in this country, and that could certainly be something that could delay the revival of our economy that has been so badly bruised.
The COVID-19 surges in South Africa are not only driven by the behavior of people, they are also driven by the persisting legacy of what the SACP calls colonialism of a special type. In other words, a colonialism in which the oppressed population and the oppressor population lived in the same indivisible country, but which was racially segregated. So we saw this drive the second surge in December. What happened is that Black people, particularly Africans, were located far away from their places of work, far away from economic centers. Come December, we are all forced to drive to Limpopo, to the Eastern Cape, to KwaZulu-Natal, to Northwest, to other provinces, or from the cities to rural areas. So in that process, there is this transportation of the COVID-19 virus. So if you look back again, March, April last year, that was the situation because during major holidays in South Africa, there is that movement. So we are now heading to the 2021 Easter holiday. That movement will likely take place. So in anticipation of that movement, it is important to strengthen messaging for everybody to take full personal protection, but at the same time to do more than what the government is doing presently. If we can move faster with the vaccination and ensure that we talk to all countries and not focus only on vaccines from the West, we can see more progress emerging.
Mr. Mashilo, I just want to touch on one thing before I let you go. The digital economy is equally important. How would you like the President to address this? And I bring this up in light of how we've had to change the way that we do things as a result of COVID-19. The digital economy is also something that I understand you'd want the President to touch quite extensively on.
The digital economy is very important. SABC is sitting on a broadband spectrum because of analog broadcasting. If the broadband spectrum can be managed very well as the basis of wireless and mobile communication, we can have the SABC expand into more channels than it has now. That will save the jobs of the workers at the SABC and in fact create more employment. The wireless and mobile communication space has become an important aspect of our economy. By auctioning off the broadband spectrum to those who want to use it to make profits driven by short-term interests of generating revenue from the auction can disadvantage future generations of the South African people. That's why, as the SACP, we are calling on the President to ensure that there is a sufficient set aside for the government to deliver on its constitutional mandate, to ensure that it has broadband spectrum infrastructure and network itself, to deliver on education to children in schools, in colleges, in universities, unmediated by commercial interests and uncensored by those commercial interests. We are also fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. The broadband spectrum has proved to be essential. Presently, for the government to communicate with us, they have to communicate with us via commercial interests through the SMSs that we receive on our phones, while there is a natural resource that the government can use to interact with every family. And the issue of broadband spectrum is even more important in the context of the need to develop rural areas and ensure that there is connectivity across the country, and it can actually help to turn around our economy.
Mr. Mashilo, I'm afraid that's where we're going to have to leave it tonight. Thank you very much indeed, SACP spokesperson Alex Mashilo. Just some of the expectations for that State of the Nation address that will be delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa tomorrow. We take a short break here on The Full View. Much more news coming up when we get back.